What you wanna know?
What's going on, people? Myke ctown here. Welcome to the episode of What Do You Want to Know, where you ask your questions. If I like your questions, I answer your questions on camera. So yeah, I got two questions that, the questions weren't exactly similar, but they kind of sort of had to do with the same thing. So I'm going to answer both of those. But the first question comes from my man Rich Owens, and he says, have you ever seen a couple having sex during a gig/festival, and how was that? I feel like you're asking me this because you've probably done it, you dirty dog, but I've never actually seen anybody having sex at a show, or gig, as you say, but I do have a sort of story about this. So there used to be this thing in Atlanta back in the 90s called the Freaky Foam Party, and basically they would take a big room and they would fill it up with like water and dish liquid to create this foam, and people would go and dance in it. Why? I have absolutely no fucking clue. But a bunch of us hardcore kids, we decided that we were gonna go because we'd never done it. You know, we were just a bunch of dumb straight edge kids that had just turned like 18, so we were exploring the Atlanta nightlife. So yeah, so we went, we jumped in the foam, we danced our asses off, badly, I'm sure. But I do remember looking over in the corner and there being this girl that was just working this dude, man. They were fucking face to face, and which logistically that's pretty difficult to do in public, especially if you've never tried. So I gotta say, I was actually pretty impressed, but at the same time, for a very green teenage straight edge kid, it was really gross. So the rest of the night, I couldn't get it out of my head that there was just jizz everywhere. Like, no matter where I went, there was jizz. Like, even though that didn't make a single bit of sense in my head, the guy came enough to fill at least an entire 25-foot section of the room. I also remember seeing this kind of like greenish brown gunk floating on top of the foam, and I remember seeing it in multiple places that night. Like, no idea where that came from, but of course in my mind it had something to do with the people fucking. Like, it was some sort of lube or booty juice or something. So yeah, I remember my buddy who had his nipples pierced. I remember they ended up getting infected, and again, I'm sure that had something to do with those two people fucking. Like, somehow the dirty booty juice and the jizz got up in his nipples, and oh, same night I ended up meeting this chick, and I ended up dancing with her, and fuck, this was so long ago I can't remember the details of the conversation, but I do remember her telling me that she dropped out of college her freshman year because she got pregnant. I remember her sticking her entire tongue in my ear, which was fucking disgusting. Like not a turn on at all. I don't understand who the fuck would enjoy that. Like, I felt like I had swimmer's ear. I felt all disoriented and shit. Like I felt like I had fucking vertigo. It was so gross. I also remember her shoving my hand down the back of her jeans shorts, which was, again, not a turn on, because it was in the freaky foam, which we've already established was filled with jizz. So I was already grossed up because I had this jizzy hand, and then she shoved my jizzy hand down the back of her teeny weeny little jean shorts, exposing her butt to the jizz foam. So in my mind, her drawers were just now full of jizz foam, but like not in a cool way. Old jizz butt ass girl. I don't know why I told you guys that. Blame Rich Owens. The next question is from Juho, and he says, I was wondering what has been your stance on concert behavior, especially stage diving and crowd surfing. Do you think it is always appropriate even in hardcore shows or others which are usually associated with this activity? Are band members pussies if they don't want any moshing, surfing, stage diving, or what else happening during their concert, no matter what genre of music? Anthony Fantano did a video about this subject, and I would like to know, what is your stance on this? Cheers from Finland. Love your videos and keep them coming. Interesting enough, I actually tried to look for the Fantano video and I couldn't find it, because I kind of wanted to see the angle that he took to this, because I actually find it to be an odd question. But anyway, I'm not a fan of moshing or stage diving. I stage dived, stage dove, whatever it is, once in my entire life, and that was because a band pulled me on stage to sing along, and I kind of didn't have a way to get back off of it after the song, so I just jumped. But I remember when dorks would show up at hardcore shows and try to like crowd surf, and if they surfed onto us, we would yank them down and tell them to go to a fucking Pearl Jam show. Yeah, not cool at all, I know. But We really hated stage diving, and we were just there to go and sing along to the band, not have some sweaty asshole's wet stomach land on top of our head. But the stupidest thing is, like, stage diving was always a part of like punk rock and hardcore, and it was just not that popular in Atlanta. But in retrospect, there was no reason for us to get so bent out of shape about it. Like, no one was forcing us to be up front. If we didn't like it, we could have just not gone up there. As far as moshing, I think moshing is stupid, but it doesn't bother me. As long as it's the goofy, like, let's all have fun type of moshing where people are just kind of like shoving each other and jumping on each other. But the violent pits where people are throwing punches and kicks, I think that shit is fucking moronic. Getting hit in the face isn't a good time. I don't know who would enjoy that, so I don't understand wanting to throw yourself into a space where getting punched in the face is the norm, like, on purpose. Like, that doesn't make any sense to me. But hardcore dancing is a part of hardcore, whether I personally get it or not. And since I'm not actively involved in that scene anymore, I don't think it's my place to insist or suggest change. I simply stay as far away from the pit as possible. It's really just that easy. I mean, personally, I don't like being at really crowded shows anyway. I don't like most people in general, and I surely don't like them touching me, especially some stinking ass sweaty dude bro. So staying in the back is totally fine for me. Now, if we're talking about like that crowd killing shit, I think anyone who does that deserves to get stomped out. Like, if people are not in the pit, that means they don't want to be hit. So if you intentionally target people like that, that makes you a piece of dog shit in my book. I don't think like that crowd killing garbage has any place at any type of show. Punk, hardcore, metal, polka, whatever. Fuck that stupid shit. But the battle between moshers and anti-moshers, it's all dumb to me, man. It's all a battle of convenience and selfishness. Like, who wants to fight for their right to be selfish and inconvenience others more? Like, the people who want to mosh, or the people who want to watch a show without being moshed? So this is kind of something that I covered in my video about people not invading cultures and trying to change them. Moshing and stage diving have been a part of punk and hardcore and metal shows forever, so it's not your right to walk in and decide that you don't like it, so it needs to change. You don't get to walk up in somebody else's house and demand that they clean it in a certain way to suit your liking. When you're in an environment that's in a way controlled by other people, you either follow the rules or you be content with being pissed off the entire time. Now, bands who don't like moshing at their shows, that's their right. If they want to tell people to stop moshing because they want to create a safe space for people at their shows, that's totally up to them, man. It's their show. And I think people should respect the band in that regard. Are they pussies? I don't know what's meant by that. People get called pussies for all kinds of stupid shit. So, are they pussies? Sure, they're pussies. Whatever. But they're pussies who are in control of what's going on there, so you kind of have to accept their pussyisms. But I do see mosh pits kind of dying down a little bit. I don't know for a fact why that is, but it seems to me to be associated with the fact that, like, the metal audience is slowly changing. I notice when I go to metal shows now, I don't see huge mosh pits breaking out. Not like I used to. Like, one of my first, like, hardcore metal-ish shows was when I went and saw Biohazard and House of Pain when I was like 15. And I got my lip busted during the pit for Biohazard, and I thought it was the coolest thing in the world, man. It hurt, but it was dope. But this was during a time when people would rarely get seriously hurt in a pit. If someone falls, they get picked back up, they get dusted off. If someone gets hit, it's rarely on purpose, and it's not taken as a personal offense. That drastically shifted, so I kind of understand why people these days think it's lame. These days, I think pits are stupid and violent. That doesn't mean I complain when pits happen, or I write letters to the venue, sir or madam, I felt unsafe at the boiled fetus membrane and dismembered whorehead show. So I would appreciate it if you would make your venue a safe space, no moshing zone for people like me. No, fuck out of here, man. If you don't like the pit, stay the fuck away from it. I just stay my ass way in the back. I can still see, I can still live, and everything works out beautifully. It's really not that difficult. So yeah, so what's your take on the whole thing? Are you bothered by mosh pits, or are you bothered by the people who are bothered and make it vocally known that they're bothered by mosh pits? Let me know in the comment section down there. And as usual, thank you for living, thank you for loving, thank you for being you. Please don't die, and I'll see you guys next time. All right, peace, bitches.